Thank you. I just want to make sure you're awake. I am barely awake. Last night was the closing night of the Mill Valley Film Festival. We have extended an extra day for you. We're barely still standing. We're getting dark. My name's Joanne. I'm the Director of Education for the California Film Institute. I'm also, obviously, we run the Mill Valley Film Festival. How many of you guys have been to the festival before? Oh, wow, this is, not many of you. This is your first time. A lot of you. Awesome. So, the festival just ran for 11 days. We finished last night, but like I said, we extended an extra day because we wanted you guys to be able to see this film. I just want to thank, and you should all thank, Mr. Levinson, who brought you down here today so you could watch a movie on a Monday. He's been an awesome supporter and participant in the festival for years, and it's just great that you guys get to take advantage of that. I don't want to waste too much time because I know you've been waiting. We want to make sure we have time for Q&A. I'm super excited that we have the director of the film you're about to see, Farming While Black, Mark Decena, here to join us for Q&A afterwards. And I'll just let him maybe jump in and say a few words about the film, the genesis of the film, and then we can, of course, talk afterwards. And you can ask as many questions as you like. Mark.
Great. Thank you so much. I've always wanted to play the Sweetwater, so this is awesome. I get to...
Without having to be a musician. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Very excited to premiere the film at the Mill Valley Film Festival. We finished the film a week before, so if there's any mistakes in the film, we can blame it on last-minute things. Deadlines are good. Just going to say that as a life thing. A thing about the length of the film. I think I heard someone say it's 90 minutes. It's actually 75 minutes. So if you could hold going to the bathroom, or I'm going to take a photo here, and then I'm going to turn my phone off. And I hope that most of you can do that as well, because you'll get a lot more out of the film if you can stick with it. And as a special incentive, I'm going to have a question at the end, a very specific question at the end. And whoever can answer the question, I will send you a copy of the book, Farming While Black. And the film was inspired by this book. Leah Penniman is the author. She's also the feature in the film, featured character. And when we met her 4 years ago, we've been working on the film for 4 years, we just knew that she was going to be the central character. And I know briefly that you guys are all part of a climate justice or social justice consortium, is that correct? Both, yeah. And the film was inspired because the previous film I did, we followed 7 climate justice activists to the COP21, the Paris Accords. And it was overwhelming, the push against, or the push for a better agreement. And as we know, the agreement was the first time that all 198 nations signed it. But the catch was that it was non-binding. So as we saw, as soon as our administration changed, the U.S. pulled out of the agreement, another administration changed, and the U.S. went back in. And as we all know, the climate is getting worse and worse. That said, I was very taken by activists, but I wanted to do a film about solutions. And another book, which I won't send you a copy of, but it's this book called Drawdown, which is the 100 top solutions for the climate crisis. It's agnostic. It looks at everything from nuclear power to the number 6 solution is educating young girls. But the aggregate of all the solutions altogether, the biggest effect we can have is land use and agriculture. So if we can fix the agricultural system, then we can solve a huge part of the climate, of the carbon emissions, and Leah does talk about that as well. This is a film about solutions. It also addresses social justice and racism and all the things historically that have held back black farmers. So again, I'll have a very specific question. Whoever can answer it, I'll send you this book, but I hope you enjoy the film.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys. Have fun. Let's give another round of applause to Director Mark Decena. Hopefully we'll get it. Oh, or we'll watch The Price is Right again. That'll be fun. So Mark, come on over here with me.
That was the biggest bass speakers
Right?
I've ever heard.
That's what happens
In
when you
my
watch a
life.
movie in a music club. You get a little extra rocking in. So, can you talk a little? You talk about a little bit about the origin of the film. Can you talk about how you chose these particular subjects, how you found these three farms, and also maybe why you focused on the East Coast?
Yes, so the film, we started filming in 2019, and we had originally thought it was going to be a film about black farmers across the United States. And then what happened in 2020? COVID. And it shut us down for a year, and we realized that we weren't raising enough money to do a film that big. So, and Leah, as you guys saw, became such a powerful force. The more we talked to her, the more we visited with her, and she became our lead character. And Mama Karen, who we all love, was an inspiration for her, and Leah recommended we talk to her, and immediately bonded with her. And as many times happens in films, there's a bit of serendipity, because we had met Blaine Snipstall actually in Barcelona at another shoot. It was a systemic change conference, and we hit it off with him. And then I found out when we were interviewing Leah that she was inspired by him in writing the book. So that was how those three characters came together.
And have you, you're based here in the Bay Area, so I'm just wondering what you are seeing here in California that kind of, aligns with the movement.
Yeah, there's quite a bit happening here, and the film we did during COVID was about a black farmer and an indigenous farmer in the Bay Area. They actually were on the Giltrack farm in Berkeley. The organization was Segorte Land Trust, which is Ohlone tribes that are trying to rematriate land because they originally were on the land and were kicked off. And Mago Smith, who makes a small appearance in the film, who actually went to Soulfire, the BIPOC immersions, and we did a film centered on them, a film called Remothering the Land that we did with Patagonia Films. I think the film is down, but if teachers are interested, I can forward that on as well. It's a 10-minute film. You don't have to go to the bathroom in the middle of it. You can just watch it all in 10 minutes. Just kidding.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your crew and the importance of kind of diversity even in the process of making the film?
Yeah, so obviously I didn't make the film by myself, but we had a very small crew. My wife, my partner in life and film is Liz Lupino. She's a producer. And the director of photography, Lawrence Rickford, and Bernardo Josue. Lawrence is technically the director of photography, the cinematographer, but he's also an editor. And Bernardo is the key editor, but also was a shooter. So a very small crew. Three of us would show up, usually with the local PA, and just do our shoots. Traveled, one time we got a RV and did some camping, but a lot of times it was just, very, very light footprint in shooting.
Well, and can you talk about how the process of getting to know your subjects and them feeling comfortable in you telling their story, and how welcoming or not, or resistant or not, they were to that, and to you as a team to do that?
Yes, great question. So one of the things we are very committed to is a non-extractive film process. There's so many times documentary filmmakers come in and bring their huge crews and do the shoots, and then they don't let any of their subjects. Many times they don't even get to see the film, but they don't have any input in the process. So we made that clear as part of a trust building procedure at the very beginning, that you're going to have input in the film. You'll get to see some cuts of the film, and make sure that we're representing your community in the right way. Because I'm obviously not a black farmer, And, you know, many times, as you've seen in the film, the black community has been just, screwed over, and land stolen, and enslavement, and so there's a lot of distrust within the community. So I wanted to make sure that we're committed to that. I don't know if the slide can go up, but the call to action is also very important for this film. We're part of the Active Cinema program, which we want to inspire people to take action, and I don't know if the slide can go up.
Can we see if there was an extra slide, the one that we had up at the very beginning with the QR code on it, if we could get that back on screen? Right, can you ask Maria if she can get it on screen? Thanks.
Yeah. But those are steps you can take from supporting Soulfire Farm, or at least going to their website and seeing all the resources that they have. And the Black Farmer Fund, which Karen Washington was a founder, and they're doing an incredible job. They're raising millions of dollars to help black farmers buy land, and then the Federation of Southern Cooperatives as well. So.
I would love for you guys to be able to ask him some questions. Yeah, let's start here.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying a little bit about the actual process of like finding such interesting, like intricate characters and stuff like that, whose stories like went so deep. What was kind of the process like to find those different people and to lay out all this? Because obviously you have a storyline to present to them. You found that organization and stuff. So, what was the process like to find these characters?
Yeah, it's very iterative. Documentary is, you're telling a true story, so you don't always know what's going to happen. Leah was on her book tour, Farming While Black. I heard a podcast, and I contacted her and asked if we could come and meet her. We met her, and then, it's a matter of building trust. Again, non-extractive. We're here to tell your story, and little by little, she let us do an interview with her, and then finally invited us to the farm. And I mentioned the other characters, and they, once you have a lead character that can vouch for you, and Leah is a leader in the movement space, and once we mentioned that we're doing a film featuring Leah, a lot of people were open to the process of letting us film them as well.
Yeah.
What motivated you to create this film? Like, are you a farmer yourself? Like, what's the story behind that?
I would like to be a farmer. The question was what motivated me to do the film. And I talked about it in the beginning, but the film that I had done previously was about climate justice activists. And before that, I was invited to what was called the World Social Forum, which is a gathering of groups all around the world that are representing the people of the world. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the G8 summit or the World Bank, where the G8 is the 8 richest countries in the world get together in Davos or some mountain retreat and decide what the world is going to be like, the 8 richest countries. And the World Social Forum was in reaction to that, where they invited people from all around the world to hear the people's voices. And that kind of opened me up to this world that, not a lot of countries like what the U.S. has done internationally, and I'm sure you're all studying a lot of that. And that led me to that film, and that film was all about the fight. And I do truly believe you need people pushing against the bad. You have to have people out in the streets, letting voices be heard. Karen Washington talked about that. It's part of civics. Just you have to get the voices of the people out there and then hold your politicians accountable. But I really want to do a film about solutions to inspire people to really look at farming, the food system, the industrial food system, which is destroying the planet.
All right, so now we have the on screen, but you're standing in front of the QR code, so I just want to make sure. Do you want to come maybe down?
We can have the lights up if you want.
Yeah, that too. All right. I don't want to stand in front of that. That's crazy. Do we have more? Yes, right there.
I know you showed this film to people in Mill Valley, but have you shown it to anyone else or like any other people? And if you haven't, like, are you planning on like spreading it? And, like,
Yeah, can I stand? Okay. This is our premiere. So our world premiere was a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's been about just
and,
over a week.
And we finished the film a week before that. So you guys are some of the first audiences seeing the film. And we planned definitely to have more and more people see the film, and the more people that, if you like the film and can recommend it, we want to have an educational distribution, so we want other schools to see it, other colleges to see it. A big part of any documentary is they call the impact campaign, where you're trying to get the film out to people that can actually make the change themselves. So with luck, we're going to get a distributor, or we're going to take it out on a community screening tour like this.
Are you hoping to do more festivals? Is that the next?
Yeah, do you recommend any?
I recommend with a few, yeah.
Yeah, and festivals, but yeah, eventually we'd love to have it on broadcast. But our real goal is to make it a community-based film where people can gather like this and talk about what actions that they can do and what they're inspired by.
Other questions? Yeah, in the back there.
How did you get into filmmaking?
How did you get into filmmaking?
Good question. So I studied, well, I've always done art as a kid. I always I like to draw, and I went to college and studied graphic design and worked in marketing and advertising for a while until I couldn't stand it anymore, actually. And I started taking classes at the Film Arts Foundation, which was a great organization in San Francisco. There's probably many others like it, where you can just take film classes, and these days you can take film classes online. And I just started to make short films, and got a short film into Sundance, and then just started doing it from there. And I'll tell this story as well, because I started as a narrative filmmaker, which is fiction films. And I did a film called Dopamine, and it premiered at Sundance. Got 10 theater distribution deal. We closed the San Francisco Film Festival. It was at the Castro, and all my friends and family, and it was a packed house, and big Q&A. And then I had a friend come up afterwards and said, "Mark, that was a really great film. Oh man, congratulations. But now are you ready to do a really important film?" And I kind of looked at him and said, well, I won't tell you what I said. But a month later, I was on the AIDS wards in Uganda, and he was an infectious disease epidemiologist, worked for the SF General, and was doing a study in Uganda on the AIDS crisis there, and wanted me to do a 10-minute, a short film on his work. And we did my first documentary film, 10-minute film, and it helped save thousands of lives. He raised $1 million to buy generic antiretroviral drugs for people that were supporting family members that had other family members die off. So it was my narrative left turn in my life, where I could do another love story, I could do this, or I could save thousands of lives. So that was a big turn for me. And not that narrative film is not important. It is important. I mean, there's so many ways that we all need to change our mindsets, and narrative is a powerful way to do that. So yeah, that's kind of the story. And I would say that the great thing about filmmaking is that it does incorporate so many aspects of things that I love to do, which has drawing and art and music and writing, and working with incredible people. So it's worked out for me, and I encourage you guys to try it out if this is what you're interested in.
Yeah, we have a question right there.
Where are they now with the build-out mentioned in the documentary that was like supposed to get back to the Black Power community, but then got a bunch of backlash?
Yes, so that's a great question, because the impetus for, or the part of that legislation, the Justice for Black Farmers Act, has been sort of folded in, the bits and pieces were taken and are being put into what's called the Farm Bill, which I knew nothing about the Farm Bill before I started this film, but it comes up every 5 to 10 years, and it's a huge appropriations bill, and it just expired September 30th, so it's up for legislation right now. So they're really pushing to get parts of the Black Justice for Black Farmers Act into the bills, and that COVID relief bill will probably be rolled into that as well. But yeah, they, same old. As soon as they got backlash and was pulled. But yeah, they're still fighting the fight, which you have to do.
Because it's such an educational video, does anyone help fund any donations or?
Question is
Got any
about
money?
the funding for the film. That's a very important question.
Yes, so we did get a majority of the funding from foundations, but we're still raising money. Since we finished the film a week ago, we had to put a bunch of our own money in, but we're mainly going after foundations, and we did a crowdfunding campaign as well. But nothing against crowdfunding, but my issue with crowdfunding is that your filmmaker friends all donate, and you're filmmakers. You shouldn't be funding my film. Someone at a foundation could write a check for $50,000 and not even think about it. Of course, they have to think about it, but yeah, we're still raising money, and it's mainly been through that. And if we get a distributor, then they technically pay for the film, but the downside of that for us and our objectives for the film is that they can lock the film up. They buy the film, you lose all rights to it, you can't do community screenings, you have to do all kinds of deals to be able to do this.
Can you talk about what that whole process of raising funds to even get started to get a film off the ground? Because I think that I think it's way bigger than people realize when it comes to particularly to making a documentary like this of what that requires.
Yeah, it's a daunting process, and my least favorite part of filmmaking. It's a necessary evil, but yeah, you many times it starts with just writing up a proposal. So writing is a key aspect to documentary film, and doing a budget, and many times the good thing about documentary is that you can start shooting a little bit and be able to put together a reel of what you think the film is going to be, or that can highlight some of the characters. It's also the downside of it, because then you start spending money that you don't have. But it's a daunting process. And I have to say, having the film in this festival, seeing the reaction that we're getting is easier to go to funders and say, hey, look at this. We screened to 500 people, and we got all these comments. And I would encourage that too, if any of the teachers would like to ask anybody that would like to write what they felt about the film. And it could be anonymous. It will be anonymous, but we include those comments when we reach out to funders.
Yeah, well, and I think it's particularly yeah, Tommy. Okay, over there. He wants us in the light so we can take better pictures. Thank you. That being able to screen to students like you guys, that feedback, particularly for an educational impact campaign, is huge. So, if you guys, knowing Mr. Levinson, it's probably baked into what you're going to be doing, but any thoughts and comments and feedback on the film that you can share with us in writing is really helpful for that as he continues to get the film out in the world. Yeah, another question.
So yeah, going back to her question, so what actually happened with that bill? So did there get benefits from the white farmers as well after they put down those lawsuits and all the trouble that they put these black farmers in to get their original bill passed? Did those benefits get seen back to the white farmers as well in this new bill?
That's a great question. I don't know. I know that it was that they did put the bill back in without any racial guidelines on it, but I'm not sure where it went. I'll find out, and I'll post that on the site. That's a great question. Write your congressman, write your senator, and say, hey, what happened to this appropriations bill?
Yeah.
Is the film only available at these community screenings right now?
Question is about the availability of the film currently.
Currently, yeah, we're hoping to get in another festival, and as part of that non-extractive process, we want to offer it to our subjects and how they would like to screen the film, how they would like to use it. So, an East Coast premiere is going to be a big thing because they're mostly on the East Coast. And so, yeah, but currently it is. You guys are a rarefied group right here. You've seen a film that no one's seen
Which
yet.
is generally the case with most independent films, and that, that's the like trying to get to the point in the exposure so they can get the distribution, that if you don't have the backing of a streamer or a big production company, it's an uphill battle to get there. Yeah.
If you're trying to make it more accessible, like online, so you can use
Oh. We can make it available and accessible online so people can watch it at home.
Eventually, yeah, and that's that's the danger too of the digital world. Is you once you put it out online, no distributor will touch it because it's been seen by everybody already, and they're not going to. I mean, they're in it to make money, unfortunately, but eventually it will be online, whether it's going to be through a distributor or we'll self-release it. But yeah, it's a delicate balance because you want everyone to see the film, but if you're in debt and you want to make another film, you're part of the capitalist system. You need to make money.
Other questions? Again, yes, sure. Go ahead.
So she said during the film, that main character was in the soul. She said at one point that the climate impact of like the eroded land and stuff like that, and the richness of the soil, can be up to 50% of the damage to the climate issue. Do you know how drastic like series of numbers were, originally being intrigued by climate change?
Yes, and this was the book that I highly recommend teachers have in their classroom, and it's also online. But again, the aggregate solutions is up to 50% of, and it includes land use, industrial agriculture, eating less meat. It's a big one. A lot of deforestation that's happening all through the Amazon is from farmers, or people clearing land out so they can graze cattle, send beef here to McDonald's and a lot of the fast food places. So that would be another way to fight climate: is eat less meat, don't eat fast food.
That's a rough one. Yeah.
what you can do to get the agriculture companies to change or the farming methods that maybe aren't the same as that, or kind of similar and regenerate the soil.
Yeah, so the question is how to get more of the industrial farmers to go into more of this type of farming and regenerative farming.
By asking those questions to almost everybody that you know. And this is something I learned in the previous film, Not Without Us, is that despite what the big ag is saying, industrial agriculture only supplies 30% of the world's food supply, and they use 70% of the resources. And that most food grown around the world is grown by small farmers, and most of them are women. So, and they're growing food in a way that's good for the planet, and definitely better for the people that are growing it. So, but yeah, just write your congressman, protest, do in your own individual actions. Is the Meatless Monday, just eating a little bit less meat, or being aware of where your meat comes from is a huge impact.
If people are interested, though, in kind of learning the farming practices themselves, or that's something that's like, are there places here that kind of teach farming skills, or where you can have experiences on local farms?
Yeah, there are local farms. There's one we're hoping to possibly do a film on, is Urban Tilth out of Richmond. They have a big program of youth farmers as well. I'm sure there's there's a farm in Petaluma called Earth Seed, Pandora Thomas, Earth Seed. Yeah, it's inspired from the book. Who's the author? But anyway, but yeah, there are local research. I'm sure if you looked online, like where can I learn to grow food? And another thing as well is support your local farmers markets. Get a CSA instead of, ordering from big supermarkets. Support the local farmers as much as you can.
All right, Mark, I think it's time for your big question.
Ooh, the big question. All right, see who's paying attention. And I actually, during the break, I went to the local bookstore, the Depot, and I ordered the book. So whoever answers the question, it'll be in Thursday or Friday. I'll probably give it to one of your teachers, and you can pick it up. Okay, here's the question. See if I can remember this. Okay, what was the term that Blaine Snipstall and his Black Dirt Farm collective came up with that inspired Leah to write the book Farming While Black?
Do you have your hand up? You did. Sorry, he had his. And that is for the
Winner! Winner!
Well done. Well done. All right. I know you guys got to get back to school. Look, can we thank Mark for making the film and for being here?